Hello and welcome to week 14 in personality or psychology of personality. And here we are with chapter 17 and going actually into one of my pet theories. Now we have been all over the place looking at types and traits, and psychodynamic theories and developmental theories. And we just got through some really cool cultural aspects here. And then we come down to one of my favorites, and that is learning theory. And that is, maybe we learned our personality from the people around us. Maybe we selected pieces of behavior to keep doing because they resulted in positive consequences. And so the notion of the concept of learning our personality is what we're going to be looking at today. So learning theory and personality development. Now, what this essentially arises from is the two major behavioral learning theories. One is classical conditioning, learning by association, of which we learn most of what we know about the world is learning by association. We see an apple. Someone as a child kept on calling an apple A for apple. We've tasted an apple and we conceptualize that and we build into our minds a schema of relative complexity about what apples are. And so we're able to generalize, we're able to get specific. And if you happen to be a professional apple grower, you have this huge complex schema in your head about what apple means. So we learn that through associations of ideas and modular and nodal learning, almost the way memory process works. And then there's operant conditioning, classical conditioning, operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is the process of rewards and punishments that shape our behavior over time. We learn as we grow up that certain things bring about the things that we want and desire, and certain other behaviors will have those things taken away or will be punished in some way for not engaging in the right behavior. And you can see how environmental factors that select the distribution of reinforcers and punishments can actually shape a person's behavior. I mean, what do we call it? We call it parenting. Where the child is born relatively personalityless compared to when they're going to be an adult, and we provide reinforcers and punishments around to shape that individual into a caring, knowledgeable citizen. And so that theory itself is kind of how we're going to be looking at this. So in the discussion, which has already begun, we have the notion of consequences. We look at punishment versus reinforcers. And this is where the science of behaviorism comes in, this particular operant conditioning part. Reinforcers are typically way more powerful than punishments. There's theory about that when you punish a behavior, that behavior may go away, but it leaves what we call a behavioral vacuum. Whatever motivated that person in the first place to do that behavior still remains. Whereas if we reinforce an alternative behavior to the behavior that's undesirable, then that alternative behavior, as long as it still meets that person's need, will be a good choice in the future. I know that takes about 3 or 4 chapters in my behavior management class and puts it into one paragraph. So take behavior management to get into those laws and rules associated with operant conditioning. Very, very cool stuff. And then, so we're going to have kind of a general discussion about those things. And then in the quiz, I'm asking you to identify reinforcers in your world that you believe may have shaped your personality. And so this is, we're equating your behavior to your personality. Skinner and Watson and all that, they weren't really concerned about so much what was going on in here about as much as what they could observe. And certainly, we probably know people who act in a certain way, and they may be acting in a genuine or ingenuine way, but all we have is what they look like, is what we see. And this science of behaviorism really did not concern itself with the inner workings of the brain. All they concerned themselves really was the notion of of our behavior, overt behavior that can be measured and whatnot. The caveat to that I have is Bandura. Bandura came along and he created social learning theory, which actually is behavior management, but it has sometimes to do with the belief systems that are in our head and our belief of what people want from us, role models and whatnot, and the rewards that we get from that. And from that thinking, we have it's a type of therapy, the cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. That's it. Cognitive behavior therapy is an active therapy that works on your thinking as a behavior that is reinforced and punished in certain ways to shape and how you can manage those reinforcers and punishments to bring about changes in your thinking. So at least that's how I see it. That's not always how it's practiced, and there's different definitions of that particular theory of counseling, but nonetheless, that's all an aside. Back to our quiz is you're looking at reinforcers that support your behavior, i.e. your expressed personality. Now, as we approach the end of this class, we're looking at the autoethnography. There's been several questions that has come in. I've already posted them. I've created a video that goes over that assignment. Please watch that video. It adds to the content that's in the course book. Nothing's changed from that, but I go over it, and it's always good to get two modalities involved in the process of learning. So you can read about it, and then you can listen and watch me talk about it. So 3 modalities of learning. So make sure that you watch that video. Let's get chapter 17 done. Start working on that autoethnography now. It's a big enough project that you might hit a bump or two. So make sure that you get right into that. Hit those bumps early so you don't experience, those last 2 weeks. We're in the last 3 weeks of class here. You want to get that done early. So those last 2 weeks or that last week don't even involve that final assignment. So looking forward to read those. They're always pleasant to read to see how all of this learning comes together. Please do watch that video. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I thought it came together pretty well. So with that, I'll leave you to get to work here and be well. Get outside. It's raining today. It was raining cats and dogs a second ago, and but summer's around the corner, so I'm pretty pleased about that. All of us in Maine are pleased about that. So take care, and I will see you next time.